I believe that the fires we're cast upon are the flames we shall become. I believe in a common calling where our temples pray as one. I believe in the word of wonder and a kingdom for the saved.
Larry Pollock here with Luke Carroll and Leo Mayrhofer. Today we're going to talk about contest prep since we're right in the heat of contest season. I've got competitors competing this weekend in the LA and next weekend in the USA. So I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's almost like I'm in prep myself. I live vicariously through them.
It's always exciting when you got someone coming in, especially if you think you're going to have a winner.
And so this weekend we have the LA. We also have Masters and Collegiate Nationals in I believe that's in Pittsburgh. No, it's in
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh. And then we also have that's a Gary Udit show, which is one of my favorite ones. Then the following weekend, we also have the Chicago Pros this weekend. The next weekend we have the NPC USAs and the Tampa Pro. And of course, everybody's excited about Olympia's coming up pretty soon as well.
94 days, I think I saw on Instagram.
Yeah. So we're gonna kind of dive into contest prep, and I'll give you my strategy basically, and then you guys can chime in and whatever you guys think. First of all, whenever I take on a client for a contest prep, preferably I've known this person for a long time and we've done an off season or two together, but that's not always the case. But the first thing I look at is where they're at as far as like how far out they are from being in condition, which means basically body fat percentage. And then I determine how much time we're going to need. And there's a saying, there's no unrealistic goals. There's just unrealistic time frames. So what I like to do is get a DEXA scan. Now, I know some people say DEXA scans aren't always 100% accurate, but in my experience, they've been pretty accurate. All the people I've done, they seem to be pretty accurate. So I'll get the DEXA scan, and I'll look at how many actual pounds of body fat they have. And for most people, I usually figure losing a pound a week. So in other words, if we have 20 pounds to lose, we need 20 weeks. Now, sometimes you can speed up the process, but I think that's a safe way to go if you want to maintain or gain muscle during the prep while you're still losing fat. And most of my people have been able to get to grow into the contest by just losing a pound a week if you give yourself enough time. Now, this year I had two competitors, both starting 18 weeks out. And interestingly, they were both at a pretty similar percentage body fat. And body composition, one guy is a little bit more muscular than the other guy, but both had about the same amount of fat to lose. And so I use a program that now I know some people don't believe in programs, but I have a program where I input all their nutrition and it calculates, their macros and their micronutrients and everything. And I'm able to use this to track things. I know some people like, Chris Aceto and some of these prep coaches, they do it out of their head. I like to have something that I can look at, a reference, because I can go in there and easily manipulate the numbers. And I don't have to remember every single detail about what happened 3 weeks ago. It's all in there. So anyways, they both started at the same time. And the other guy I did prep last year, so I pretty much knew how his body responded. The other guy was first time I'm doing his prep. And interestingly, they both started the same exact diet, other than the calories were a little bit higher on one because he's a little bit bigger, but pretty much same foods, same gear protocol. But one guy was just cruising in, losing fat, pound a week, and the other guy was not. He was just like losing and then not losing and then losing and then not losing. And I did realize he was cheating on his diet a little bit in the beginning. We had a long conversation about that. I think we got that stopped. But then we hit this wall where he just wasn't losing weight for like a month. And I started carb cycling him. I started taking, I lowered the carbs down to 100 grams on training days and no carbs on non-training days. And he still wasn't losing weight.
100's pretty low.
Yeah. He just wasn't losing weight. Added in an hour of cardio and he started losing a little bit of weight, but then again came to a stop. And
you're still cheating.
I think so. Because we added in tirzepatide. And when we added the tirzepatide, that was a game changer for him. Because all of a sudden he started losing weight.
All of a sudden he was
not hungry no more.
Yeah. I actually said to him last night, what we're doing now is because every time you cheated on your diet, we have to make up for it now. So we got to the point where we're behind schedule, like body fat wise. And so I had to put him on like literally straight fish and vegetables with an hour of cardio a day with the tirzepatide, and I upped the clen to 4 times a day. And now, and then this week we did a big water push where I had him pushing water real high, and miraculously he's dropped, like he went from 216 to 205 in a week. And now we have 2 more days to go, and I still haven't put in any diuretic or anything yet, but we'll hit that on Friday. And
just want to give a shout out to my sponsor. It's apparently working.
Yeah, we got that tirzepatide. We got that tirzepatide through Leo, and we also put in that SLU stuff.
Yeah.
And
I've heard good things about that on the Overcome podcast.
That SLU stuff, I actually started trying it myself, and there is something to it. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I mean, I know he's doing all these other things, so I can't blame his weight drop on that. But I felt the SLU, I just feel like my recovery is better for some reason. I feel like I'm recovering faster from training.
I've had it back in for 2 days. A buddy of mine gave me a bottle, and I was taking it for about a week, and then I accidentally left it up here at the ranch house when I was back home for my dog, and then I'm back up here, so I've been taking it again. But I don't notice a whole lot physically from it, but I think that your organs and stuff is what kind of you notice. Maybe over a little bit of time, cleaner.
What brand are you using?
It starts with a P, Precision or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe it's also not good. You never know, because some brands are just not testing or underdosing.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed to think it was going to be good because he's been using it for a while. He was telling me about it, so I don't know a whole lot about it though. So I just threw it in. I figured, what's the worst that could happen?
I feel if your blood work does not, and you're really consistent, like at 500 or 1,000 micrograms.
I think I'm at 500.
If your blood work does not improve, then it's probably not real.
Yeah.
Because like the blood work, like I said, like my triglycerides drop.
But do you feel it?
Half.
Do you feel it acutely when you take it, or do you feel it kind of maybe just over like a period?
It's weird. Like I first I thought I got a little warmer, but now I don't know really. But a friend of mine said, like, Jesus, like my heart rate went up. So I'm like, I don't know. it depends so much on the stage you're in. I don't think you really feel it, at least for me. And
Acutely.
other, yeah, but a lot of people they say they feel a little bit.
I
I'm not that sensitive. I gotta admit, I'm not a sensitive guy to
Yeah,
anything.
I feel
I'm
that
always
way
like,
too with some
I
things.
could be natty right now, you know. I
You
don't
don't
feel
even.
shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think probably over like a month or two period, you might notice a big difference if you like, logged how you're feeling and how your stuff's looking, because if your triglycerides are better, if your digestion's better, if that stuff's better over
Mhm.
time, you'd be like, oh, I am progressing. I'm able to run more drugs, or do something with and keep my my liver values better, keep my kidney values better. But maybe over time you notice big time.
I think
Um,
it could be a really great drug for like the
health.
average American that had a lot of hypertension maybe for a while, to fix
Hmm.
their kidneys and such, and to fix their lipids. I think it would be like kind of like the Ozempic for the organs maybe, you know. So I think it could
Miracle
get
drug for the
huge.
organs.
It could get huge, but then probably like big pharma will, you know, f us up. So I'm
Shut it
almost
down.
hoping it's not nothing's going to change, because then they're going to charge people a tremendous amount and just get it off the market. And
Yeah.
so actually, it will be worse for the people. Like every time the FDA approves something, it's almost getting worse for the people. It's
Yeah,
stupid.
it's true.
Yeah.
Once it loses its research grant.
Unless
Um,
we get this, so sorry,
yep.
unless we get this through, that we really not going to pay more than the cheapest country on the planet. What Trump was like
That would be
saying he
big.
wants to get in. If that's the case, approve everything. I'm cool, but I don't. I'm like, we'll see.
I mean, guys like us never have an issue getting anything we want, anyways. But the general public doesn't have the connections we have, for
Yeah.
sure. Back to Larry's talking about his his prep. Um, I think that your system is a valid system, Larry. I think that you kind of are getting data about the person, and then you can go from there. Do you always have people check their bloods also before start prep?
Before, during, and usually a couple times during.
Okay. I mean, that might get expensive, but
Well, I figure like this: you're doing 18 weeks of prep, and we get blood work for a couple $100.
mhm.
The information that I can get out of there is worth knowing.
Yeah.
And I say a couple times, not necessarily if I feel like there's something I need to know, then I'll just get it done again. Like
It's
I like to check their hormone levels, their estrogen, to see if
thyroid hormones
where
for
it
sure.
is, their thyroid level to see where that is, all
A1C to
their
see how
health
their
markers, of
percent
course.
sensitivity is. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, if you have a client that has the funds to do it, I absolutely think that you get good data from those things you said. Especially seeing how their metabolism is running with the thyroid hormones, seeing how their estradiol is, if they're running androgens. Those are useful things, especially in prep, because a lot of times people will just prophylactically prescribe an aromatase inhibitor. And I mean, me personally, I can run a gram of testosterone. And if I run like any DHT, like a little bit of Primo or a little bit of Masteron, my estradiol is like, if you put me on an AI, I'd be at 0 estradiol, like non-existent as well. So, I mean, in
well,
my case, AI would be detrimental, but without blood work, you aren't going to really know that.
I can tell you this: both my guys on their initial blood work showed relatively low estrogen.
Mm-hmm.
And even in midway, we did another blood work and they showed relatively low estrogen. However, the guy that wasn't losing weight, I did throw him on an AI like 3 weeks ago, and I put him on Aromasin, one a day at night, 20 milligrams, and immediately he dropped weight. Now, we also happened to add the trizipatide at the same time, or around the same time, but he noticed a difference like literally overnight as soon as he threw in the
AI.
the Aromasin. Like it was a change. Like he
Yeah.
dropped weight like in one day. So
Leo, have you noticed if you're running too low of estrogen, it's hard for people to lose body fat if their estradiol is too low? Have you seen that?
I try not to have anyone too low, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like Larry and I differ. I'm not pushing anyone to 0. I want to stay around 20 or so. I
Yeah.
think that's the best. Maybe only if you're like some like African guy that has the thickest skin on earth, and
Bring
you're
it
full
low.
anyways, maybe then. But it's also that I think it's also the reason why people think that Winstrol causes joint pain, because they always take it when the estradiol is at 0.
0, and then you're
And when
compounding
your
the problem.
if my estradiol's at 0, like my joints ache. I don't
Yeah.
need Winstrol for that.
Yeah.
well,
But,
first of all, I don't push it to 0 till the very end. I mean, we're talking
yeah,
last
that's
2
3
weeks.
weeks or so. Yeah.
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 But I still wouldn't do that for the
Well, like
you
I
know,
said,
visual reasons, because
one of my
I wouldn't
competitors,
get them
we
full.
haven't used an AI at all, and he's already shredded glutes, Christmas tree, and the whole thing, and we haven't used an AI, and we don't need to, because he doesn't need
Okay,
it.
great. Yeah. Okay, I
But
agree.
the other guy,
Well,
he
yeah.
wasn't losing weight, and so we threw that in there, and it made a difference.
Yeah.
Well, it's unfortunate that you did it at the exact same day. Would be cool if you had waited like 3 days or so to really
Sure.
see, you know. But yeah, I mean, if he looks great, he looks great. Then it's great.
Am I mistaken? I said
Yeah.
20 milligrams of Aromasin a day, and someone said, geez, isn't that the normal standard what it comes in?
No, the guy
Comes
he
in, I
must
think,
be
12 and a half, doesn't it?
25 or 12 and a half.
25.
Guy
Yeah.
must be
Yeah, I think
confusing.
mine are 25.
He probably confuses it with the anastrozole, which is 1 milligram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's probably like, "What the fuck?" But
That's a lot. That would be a lot of anastrozole.
Yeah, it's
Anastrozole.
not the same stuff.
Aromasin is not anastrozole, so it's all good. And Larry didn't overdo it. Yeah.
Musclehead up in the chat. Bunch of feds.
So one thing I want to backtrack. When I started competing back in the 80s, my first coach was Mike Sable. And literally, I mean, we didn't have technology today. We didn't have drugs like today. All I took was I was 16 years old. For my first contest, I took 6 milligrams of Anavar for 30 days before the show. And basically it was a very almost no fat diet, high carbs, medium protein, hour of cardio a day. And he was really crazy about salts. We had to like eat on paper plates with plastic utensils, because God forbid if you got any salt in you, you're going to blow up or something. And it was like real old school, but that's what we did. Then I can tell you when at 18, I did my own prep for the USA, and I was a little bit psycho about it, because I was just had it in my head that I couldn't lose because I was training at World Gym. So for that prep, I did it myself, and all I ate was red snapper, lettuce, and distilled water for literally the last 6 weeks.
Oh Lord!
And I was
flat
doing an hour. I was doing an hour of cardio.
How many pounds? You'd have to eat like 6 pounds of fish a day to get in enough calories just to not be emaciated after a week.
Honestly, I think I went from like 230 down to 196. I think I competed at 196, and I was shredded.
34 pounds. That's a lot to drop for sure.
Yeah, I probably could have been bigger, but I mean, I was shredded, and at that time, nobody was shredded.
It's a great test to see if you have good genetics. If the prep like that's gonna work, whatever, you're good.
Well, again, we didn't know anything back then, and I know. We just starved. I had these fast and diet pills that killed your appetite, and I took those, and
real ephedra.
Yeah, and we just I didn't even sleep for a month before the show. That's how crazy I was.
Oh Lord!
That would
And
be.
the funny thing is,
I'd go
the funny
crazy.
thing is, back then, guys like that dieted like that and looked good at the end were looked up to, and they were teaching everyone to do that.
So there was an
What worked
issue.
for them, and I think that was the problem. That like still until even in the '90s, Levrone did the same shit.
Yeah,
But he's also so gifted, he
it
could
didn't
get
matter.
away with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but if Levrone had coached some people, they would have died along the way.
yeah.
Like,
I can tell you this though.
Vanished. They
I
couldn't hold on to any more.
at the end of that prep, I remember I walked into World Gym one day in the last week of prep, and I was at a point where I wasn't speaking because I didn't have energy to talk. It took too much energy, and I walked
I
in
don't doubt that.
and I bumped my head on one of the bars that was hanging from the lat pull down. And Joe Gold says to me, he says, "Hey kid, are you okay?" And I just looked at him, and I just kept walking. Like I just went, yeah, because like speaking took too much energy.
Yeah.
And then I remember afterwards, I thought, man, I literally starved to death. I don't know how I could have trained any harder, did more cardio, or did anything. And I won the show, but I showed my pictures to Rich Gasperi afterwards. And he goes, "Yeah, you could be a little bit more." And I was just like, more?
What
Like,
more
what-
could you do?
What more? Like, I didn't eat for fucking almost 2 months. What more could I do?
I mean, you guys were doing weird stuff back in those days too. You're probably drinking distilled water the last week and draining
That's
out
so
all
crazy.
No,
salt.
I drink distilled water for a month.
Yeah.
So crazy.
I don't know how your heart stayed going with. I don't know, like those. I mean, it's good that we just.
Well, we didn't have diuretics.
Yeah, that's probably good. You probably would have died if you had a potassium sparing diuretic.
Yeah. Oh my God, you would have heart attack right there.
Yeah. For anybody in the chat that watches this, don't fuck around with diuretics. That's what's killing a lot of people lately. Is diuretic usage. So.
Do you know where this girl got from?
The one that just passed?
Yeah.
I didn't hear. Was it when she was competing or just out of the blue?
I don't know why she died. It was just like she's 41, she's dead. Hello.
That's pretty young.
So-
That's 1 year from older than me right now. Anyway, back to Larry. So I think that the way you go about stuff is good. I think the DEXA scan is probably one of the most accurate ways to check actual body fat. Sadly, it's not, people have different metabolisms and different everything. So it's maybe a good way to start with a diet, how many calories and stuff. But, you'll have to just check stuff on the, change stuff on the fly, depending on what changes you see on them. What, Leo, when you write a prep, how do you kind of like start? Do you do like a calculation off of like a formula, or do you just kind of know where you're going to start with the foods and then just kind of change from there?
I do it more like aceto.
I do too.
I just take stuff out.
Yeah.
So I either take food out or put food in. I refeed or I defeed.
But how do you determine the starting point?
Like that? So whoever is starting, I'm looking at. So, are you like now at maintenance? Like what is your current like? You have to eat something when you talk to a guy.
What are you starting at now? What do you
like?
look
What
like?
are you eating right now? So I'm asking them, what are you eating right now? I also ask them, what foods do you hate? Because I'm not gonna, I'm gonna give him foods that he at least likes. I try to.
But do most people even know? Because I find that most people, when they start their diet,
exactly.
they have no idea, like how many calories, how many grams of protein. They don't even know.
I mean, that comes down to just.
have no idea. I'm like, eat the same as you usually do, and start counting.
Start a log.
And you start logging, and then tell me, and that we have a ballpark. And if they can't do that, I'm just like, then I'm just guessing. I'm just like, I should start guessing, and then I'll see right away if it goes up or down. So
typically I'll get a client and then I'll write them a diet, and then when they'll run it for like a week, they'll be like, oh man, my digestion is better, my this and that's better. And then I'll start looking at photos of them, and then I might start changing the diet pretty rapidly if they start, if whatever they're trying to do, if they're trying to gain or lose, but they'll notice a big difference because a lot of times guys are just, maybe when they come to you, they're just kind of like doing random. If you have been working with the client in the off season, then you already know what they're eating. And then you can just kind of like shift the foods how you want to go the direction. But one thing that I don't really like working with somebody if they just come to me and they're just like, hey, I'm 18 weeks out, let's do a prep. I'll like, okay, well, let me see your blood work. And then their blood work comes back and their fucking A1C is 5.7 and their thyroid hormones are in the gutter. And then, there's like all these kind of health markers that they've been running 2,000 milligrams of androgens a week. And I'm like, this is not a good position to start prep, bro. Like we're not going to start, prep with you looking like this health-wise. We need to clean this up for maybe, 2 months and then start a prep and pick a show where you're coming into it in a good position. Because if you're already burned out, then you're going to get to the point where what Larry was talking about with his client, they got so low on his calories, so high on his cardio, so high on his drugs, and he's still not in shape because he didn't come into prep in a good position. That's my view on it.
Well, actually, both my guys came into prep exactly the same body fat. But one started dropping weight immediately with just a regular diet, and the other not.
Yeah, but I mean, were they both taking the same drugs? Was their A1C the same? Was their thyroid hormones?
Blood work was all good on both of them.
Something's big difference on them then. I mean, I don't know, maybe it was just the one
guy. One guy was cheating on his diet for sure.
Well, that's that's like you're not even on prep if you're cheating that bad on your diet.
And I don't think some people realize, if you're on a diet trying to lose fat, and if you eat whatever cookie in the middle of the night, some people think, oh, it's just a cookie. It's not. No, that cookie screws everything up.
Mm-hmm.
Because your body's trying to hold onto that body fat, especially someone who hasn't done preps before. So if you start eating a cookie here and there or whatever, some kind of pastry, that, I think people don't realize, like, that will ruin your diet. You cannot cheat.
Pastries on prep that's unless it's a cheat day, that's just a no.
No, the guy would get up in the middle of the night and eat whatever shit was in the fucking his family had in the cabinet.
Yeah, that's not, you're not on prep, bro. You're just kind of eating clean. That's like an 80-20. You're eating clean 80, but then 20 you're not, and that's not maybe in the off season you can get away with that if you're
but you're not going to lose weight,
gifted and on steroids, and you're able to do stuff, then you can kind of get away with growing on that. But if you're in prep and you're putting down 1,000 extra calories in the middle of the night, no. Leo, you're muted.
Leo, we can't hear you.
No, something happened. Are your earbuds dead?
Still can't hear you. Well, he's fixing that. So if someone cheats on their prep,
I think you're back, Leo. I think you're good now. Oh, I heard him for a second.
Say something, Leo.
I don't think he's connected yet. No, he's still not. There it is. Leo, you good there?
Yeah, but I want to get my headphones in.
We're getting a little feedback from you now.
Why don't I get the headphones on? Well,
they just did.
Where did we stop?
We were talking about cheating
on their diet.
On their diet.
Yeah, I always tell people, like, please tell me if you cheat, because if you don't, it's gonna mess you up and me, because I'm trying to change something that wasn't the problem anyways.
Yeah, I'm at the point now.
Calories or something, but like, if you're not eating the calories I'm telling you, you don't have to adjust anything. So I'm like, And it happens all the time. You stir in a pot that's like doesn't have to be stirred at all.
I'm at the point now where if I have a client like that's a chronic cheater, I'll probably just start them out on retatrutide from the jump, and then just I mean, I'm at the point now where if like I actually like using it at like 5 or 6 weeks out, because that's when ghrelin starts kind of getting crazy. And then, you know, people that even good people will cheat if you push them too hard, too, you know, late into the prep. So that just kind of is like a little insurance factor in my opinion. Like just a moderate, like a low moderate dose, like a 0.5 milligram a week or maybe up to 1 milligram.
Oh, that's very low. Yeah.
So for me,
but I mean, it's just to take the edge off. It's just to like, I'm not trying to like pound them with GLPs. I'm just trying to like take the edge off their hunger where they don't have cravings, you know?
Yeah.
He started at 1 milligram and then we went to 2 milligrams twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that did the
2
trick.
milligrams twice a week or 1 milligram twice a week?
He started at 1 milligram twice a week, and then we upped it to 2 milligrams twice a week.
Dang, 4 milligrams a week is quite a bit.
No, that's not a bit.
Isn't it? I thought that's a good dose.
No. Like people that use it medically, they use way more.
Yeah.
Well, it did the trick. It definitely made the difference. But I can say, you know, like honestly, all the years I competed, first of all, I don't really have a sweet tooth, so it's never been a thing for me to have to, you know, eat junk food. I don't even eat junk food in the off season. But the idea of cheating on my diet, it's like I would never do that. So it's weird to me when people do it. I understand that they do it, but it's hard for me to comprehend it. I know people do it because I've had people do it, but I just don't. It's hard for me to comprehend why someone would do that, because for me, when I'm competing, it's like my competition is everything, and the last thing I'm going to do is cheat on my diet.
Yeah, I mean, I talk to people all the time, and they just have different mindsets about, you know, they'll like say, "Yeah, my coach told me to do this, but I'm doing that," and I'm like, "What? Like, what you're doing? You know, why are you even here? Like, what are you talking about? You don't want to do something, and then your coach wrote it in."
Do it all the time. People ask me all the time, and they have a coach, and I'm like, dude, just if you don't trust your coach, change the coach. But
yeah,
like,
I mean, like if my coach, if I'm in prep or doing whatever, whatever my coach tells me, if it's something I don't agree with, then I might have a conversation and be like, hey, I don't think this is right because of this, or because of my body type, my metabolism, my genetics, whatever. Or otherwise, I'm just going to trust him implicitly on everything he says.
Yeah, like when I started bodybuilding, and I mean, I'm the youngest in 2009. Dude, that wasn't even like, no one is like cheating on a diet. What is that? Like, that's not even up for debate.
I think it's always been there.
No, but if you, of course, you're like thinking about it, but doing it, it's like, this is like, I don't know. It's like killing someone. It's like, it's not even an option. You know what I mean? It's like you do this, and then this is like the most deadly sin. Like, it's no way I'm doing this. This is so much of a no-go, like breaking the law or something. You know, and nowadays there's so much talk about this, also like cheat meals and all that it kind of like they even expect to get cheat meals and all that. Like, what? Like, people is so like this mindset of like having everything easy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't get it. And of course, you don't have to have it as bad as like eating broccoli and fish and dying, but it's also like, bro, like I
don't really put cheat meals into my program because I give my guys good foods. I'm like, you know, you get steak every day. You get, you know, I'm not feeding you just fucking tilapia and broccoli. So it's not like you're having burnout on this diet. Like, I mean, I'm giving you like good foods and good macros. So I just had a client ask me like, is this my diet? Do I ever get to like, do a cheat meal or whatever. And I'm like, bro, your A1C is 5.7. You're nearly diabetic. No, you don't get any cheat meals because until like, I'm like, in 2 months, we'll look at your bloods again and see if you can start having cheat meals if your A1C gets down to where you're not pre-diabetic.
When I lived in Germany, I always got sweet potatoes, and I put them with like 5 grams of oil in a Tupperware. I shook the Tupperware, so all of, like at first chopped them.
Yeah.
And then they got a little bit of like oil on them, but not like,
They get crispy. Huh?
And I knew how much. And then I put them in the oven, and I have the craziest sweet potato fries with like sugar-free ketchup.
That's how I do mine too. Actually, I do them in the air fryer the same way.
Yeah, and dude, I'm like eating the shit, and I'm like, this can't be real.
Yeah,
dude, this can't be real. Like this, so you can eat like sweet potato fries 3 or 4 times a day with like sugar-free ketchup. You can do so much shit. Well, we have this Swiss cheese in Germany. It's actually disgusting, but if you mix it with egg whites, you can make kind of an omelet with it. And it's like, it has no calories almost. It's just protein and tastes so good. Like, I mean, you can do so much shit if you're creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need anything, man. Like, I can make a burger.
Another one is sauces. Another issue is people that do sauces because they just add up. That people, another client asked me,
them.
Yeah, they said like, what can I use? And I said soy sauce or hot sauce, because hot sauce is kind of just like vinegar and chili. I'm like, as long as if it tastes sweet, then fuck, no.
I don't really believe in cheat meals because in my experience, the people that want them are people that crave certain foods. And I noticed, like, if you don't give them those foods,
it can be a trigger for sure.
After a few weeks, they don't miss it anymore. But as soon as they taste that stuff, they can't eat just like one donut.
I had a client that was he was on prep. He was doing good. He got to about 6 weeks out, and he works construction, and he was just at a job site, and they were having pizza and donuts or something like that, and he just went off the rails. Like, he just had a big cheat, and he gained like 18 pounds overnight. He was 212, looking shredded. His glutes were just starting to come in at 6 weeks out, and then he gained up to 230. He sent me a check-in. He was 230, and I said, like, all right, we got to get this water off. We got to get back in. And every week I was starting to try to push more drugs into him. It was right when we started the cleanse, right when we started Trenbolone and stuff. And I was trying to get him back, and he just couldn't reel it back in. He just kept, once he hit that trigger, he couldn't stop cheating. Like, it was just an everyday thing after that. Like, his ghrelin was just too high, and his brain was just like not strong enough to stop. Hey,
maybe there should be, like, for people like that, they should be put to sleep for real.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I was just thinking, like, how can you actually stop that?
Stop.
And maybe they should just be put to sleep 3 days, a little anesthesia.
Well, I think that's where the Retta. Okay. You got everything? All right. Thank you. Sorry. We were cutting up some wood out on the way up the driveway, and then we were taking it out, and then I put the keys on the center console, and when we got out, the kid I had working for me clicked the door lock with his hand on accident, and I closed the door, and my truck goes beep, and like it activated the alarm. I locked my keys in my truck. So he just called AAA, and he's taking care of it for me. But I'm all covered in sawdust right now.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing there? I see.
One thing I learned years ago, I had a friend of mine. She was an IFBB judge, and actually she was my training client, and she used to refer people to me for contest prep. So she referred this chick to me for a contest prep for bikini, and she trained real hard in the gym. Nice lady, but she was not losing weight. And I realized, she was just cheating on her diet. And anyways, like, one time I asked her, like, so what did you eat? She like, oh, I had a Power Crunch bar at lunch. I'm like, that's not on your diet. She's like, well, I was in a hurry at work and I didn't have time to eat anything else. Anyway, she wasn't losing weight. 2 weeks out, I told her, you know what? You're not going to be ready. There's absolutely nothing I can. She's like, give me letrozole. Letrozole work. I'm like, it doesn't matter. No, nothing's going to work on you. You're just not. You're not going to be ready. You got too much weight to lose. I'm like, I don't think you should do the show. But if you're dead, she was dead set on doing it. I'm like, if you're going to do it, just realize you're not going to place. And so, if you're happy competing and not placing and not doing well, then that's fine. But just know that you're not going to do well because you're not going to be ready. There's no way. No letrozole, nothing's going to fix this.
Some people are hilarious.
She went and did it, of course.
Some people are hilarious that think that like either they just need a diuretic or they're just holding too much water from estrogen. And then I'm like, no, you got fat. You just need to diet more.
So she did the competition with her girlfriends, and of course she didn't do well. And so he comes back afterwards, and she says, I'm going to go to Mammoth with her husband for a vacation for a week. I'm like, all right, go there for a week and, eat whatever you want. And when you come back from Mammoth, we'll start over again. Well, I didn't hear from her for like 4 months. 4 months later, she comes in. She gained like 50 pounds. Her ass was like this freaking wide. And I remember she walked up to me and she goes, I know I've been away for a while, but I'm ready to get started again. And I literally grabbed her ass like this, a chunk of fat. And I'm like, there is nothing I can do with you. There is nothing I can do with you. I'm like, this is not for you. Find a different hobby. You're just not cut out for this. There's no way. You can't stay on a diet, and there's nothing you can do. And I had another guy. He was my Krispy Kreme guy. This was back in I want to say the 90s. I was training at John Lloyd's Gold's Gym, and I was working as a marketing manager. I wasn't coaching or doing any of that shit. And because I was working like full time as a marketing manager. And every time I go to the gym, this big black guy would come to me. He'd see me in the parking lot and he said, train me. And I'm like, dude, I don't train people. And he's like, he kept hitting me up every couple weeks for months. And he was driving a Rolls Royce. So finally I said, okay, I just threw a big number. I said $5,000 a month. He says, fine. I said, okay, I don't have time to train you like yourself because I barely have time to get in the gym myself. So you're going to have to train with me. This guy ended up being my training partner for like 2 years. Anyways, he would go from 330 pounds down to 220 after about 8 months, being, on a clean diet. We weren't contest prepping or anything, just getting in shape. And then he'd go on a Krispy Kreme binge. And the guy would literally, he told me, he would go out and start eating Krispy Kremes. And in one night, he eat like 25 boxes of Krispy Kremes in a single night. And then I wouldn't hear from him for a few months. And then he'd come back and he'd be 330 pounds again. And he repeated this cycle for like 10 years. 10 years, he'd go down to 220, be back to 330, and just up and down, up and down. And now I'm at the point where basically if I don't think someone's serious, I'm just going to be like, look, like I'm not going to do this with you.
Yeah.
It's just too much work on my part, and to put in all that work and them just not take it seriously.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I'll write someone a program, but I don't get too emotionally invested if they aren't a serious person. I'll just tell them what to do, but I just like kind of leave it there instead of like investing my, myself into the whole prep. And really, because like with my other clients that are serious, like I'll answer all their questions and chat with them and really go the whole distance and help them do whatever, posing and training and stuff. But if they're not a serious person, it's hard to put in that kind of investment.
Yeah, because it's a lot of time on your end. People think, you're getting the amount they're paying me for a contest prep is nothing compared to how many hours I have to spend, over a period of months just doing everything. It's a lot of time that you put into a person. If you expect, I mean, I don't know, some coaches just write a program and go away, but I'm like hands-on.
Yeah.
I'm like in the gym watching them. Even my guy that's not training at my gym, we meet in person every single week. I do posing every single week with him. I'm doing check-ins every single week. And if you get closer to the show, I'm pretty much talking to him on a daily basis. So, and then I go to the show with them and make sure, because, if I'm not going to screw it up at the very end after we did all this stuff.
I'll go to shows if they're local within, California, but I don't really go to shows that are too far away usually, unless I'm already going to like USA's or something like that.
Right.
But I haven't really had any clients at USA's for a while.
So what are other strategies do you guys have that are different or anything?
I mean, I'm kind of just like a mild, like I like to start, I like to start someone on as high calories as I can. Hopefully I've been working with them for a while and they have, I've built up their metabolism. I've kept them, somewhat lean. I'm not pounding them with, they're coming into prep like real fresh. They haven't just come off of like a big bulking cycle or something. And then, I kind of like to start with like even macros, maybe like 50% protein, 25 on the carbs and fats. That's not something I shoot by, but it kind of usually ends up being around those numbers. And then, as I come in closer in, I'll start bringing the fats down a little bit. I like to get down to maybe like 60 grams on fats and then kind of just modulate the carbs from there to start bringing down the calories as I come in further. There's a lot of different buttons you can pull coming into the show. You can increase cardio, you can add fat burners like clenbuterol. Now that we have GLPs, you can start employing those. You can change the drugs. Early on you can just run maybe like a test and maybe some other test analog or maybe like a nandrolone or something like that, and then phase that out and go more test and DHTs, and then run. I don't like to run trend for too long, maybe the last 6 to 8 weeks of prep for trenbolone. So I'll kind of do that toward the end with my guys. Sometimes I don't even employ it, just depending on how the person's life is and how the person deals with that. So there's a lot of different things you can pull before you even start messing too hard with the diet, because I like to keep the diet as high as possible and then the cardio as low as possible. I usually start the cardio around 20 minutes on the Stairmaster, and then just kind of go with whatever the person's body starts feeding me. If they're dropping every week, then we won't even change nothing. We'll just ride it in till stuff kind of starts pausing a little bit, and then we'll start increasing the fat burner drugs or the change out the drugs, like I said, and then start bringing down the calories at the end if needed.
I think the magic in contest prep lies in not making wrong calls.
Yeah.
And not the magic right calls that will trigger something that, you have like some magic.
Something drastic.
Approach. Yeah. It's rather like, what not to do and what are the right and wrong adjustments. And I think that's the most important part, because a lot of times, with bad coaches, you can already see, okay, their approach is stupid because like some drugs are just like unnecessary, or like you have 5 drugs for the same purpose. And you're like, why are you stacking those on top of each other?
Yeah.
Like, you want their lipids to be major fuck. Like, and like sometimes when you start seeing that, you can already tell, okay, that guy might not be the smartest in the other aspects as well. But it's mostly like having a good feeling and great feedback also. Dude, the best coach, if I'm an online coach and they give me shitty feedback and I have to dig and dig and dig and they're not reporting well, then you can't make the right call. So the most important thing is that you are reporting objectively, like as good as possible and precisely. And some people are just bad at telling like what actually happened and what did not happen, or they just are so insecure that they're lying. They're saying they did the cardio when they didn't, you know,
and they're losing weight when they're not.
Yeah, or their cardio is like, bro, like it's like, I don't know, level 1 on the lying
On the massage chair.
on the lying bike or so. Where I'm like, bro, you, like in 1 hour you might burn like 68 calories. Like, what's that?
Yeah, pointless.
Yeah, so I've seen that, man.
Typically,
So
I have people do Stairmaster. It's just the most bang for your buck, in my opinion.
I just don't like it because
Your legs.
It's just taxing on the recovery.
Yeah, I
Especially
can see
for
that.
people. If people have huge legs, I'm like, doesn't matter. They probably like gonna keep them. But if people don't have big legs, like I'm like, do the cardio that impacts your recovery the least at legs. You know, those guys could do the hand bike
or the rowing machine. I used to like that when I was in prep doing cardio. The rowing machine, I like that a lot.
So
it's definitely good output. Yeah,
I have a totally different approach that you probably will disagree with, but I start out with no cardio unless somebody is really overweight. And I just want to see how their body responds to just the diet and training before we put in cardio. And then I add in cardio as needed if they're not losing weight. At, like I said, a pound a week.
I do the same.
And I'll slowly introduce it, you know, maybe start 20 minutes, then 30 minutes, then bump it up until we're, you know, losing that pound a week.
Thanks, dude.
But like one of my guys, we didn't do any cardio the whole prep. And his last year, I didn't do any cardio at all. And he comes in peeled. He doesn't need cardio. And the reason is because he works as a I'm sure you won't mind me saying this. He's a coach at a school. So he is on his feet all day long, like running around with these kids from morning till afternoon, late. He trains early in the morning and he's on his feet all day long. So he's already doing like 1 million steps a day. So for me and he's got a fast metabolism. So if I add cardio on top of that, he's just going to shrink up to nothing.
Yeah. People are always like, oh, this step counting is so stupid. That's one of the things I ask on my assessment sheet. It's like, what's your non-exercise activity? Do you have a desk job? Do you have a step counter? How many steps are you doing? Because if you don't know that, exactly like you said, Larry, and you have that's like 20,000 steps a day, and you're like, let's go 2 hours of cardio. You'd be like, what the hell is going on? You know, that guy needs cardio. So you like, I have one guy. I'm like, stop walking, dude. Like, how the fuck do you get these 15,000 steps a day? Just stop going for a walk now. Like, he wants to gain a size. I'm like, just don't walk. And he's like, I barely got under 15K steps a day. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Just don't go. It's so hard. Like, it's wild.
So then on the PEDs, you know, a lot of people are big on what they call the hardener drugs, the Winstrol, Mastron, Primo, all this stuff right now. I don't believe that first of all, these drugs do not burn fat. That's for one thing. What the hardening effect you get is because they're not retaining water. And I actually want people to retain water most of the prep. I don't want them dehydrated while we're trying to train heavy through the majority of the prep. The only time they need to be dehydrated is right at the end when we're going into the show. I don't need them dehydrated 6 weeks out. So I don't see any reason to put in, things like Mastron or Winstrol to not hold water unless they're a water buffalo for some reason. So like both of my guys, I had them run EQ and tests, and then pre-workout was Anabar and Turnaball. And we did that all the way up to 6 weeks out. At 6 weeks out, we started introducing a little bit of trend. When I say a little bit, it was 30 milligrams. We lost Leo.
He'll be back.
We put in 30 milligrams 4 days a week, which is a total of 120 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
And then I bumped it up to 150 milligrams the last 2 weeks of tren. And then the hardener drugs, the Winstrol, the Primo, the Mastron, I saved those for literally 3 weeks out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any reason to put them in before that. Because, and another thing is, if you don't put them in till the end, they're new to your body. So your body's going to respond better to them when you need them to harden up rather than if you've been running them for a few months and your body's used to them.
So I don't love to have orals in that far out. You said you had Anavar and Turinabol.
Yeah,
I typically won't have
pre-workout.
I typically won't have any orals in until the last 4 weeks. I'll put in maybe oral Winstrol. Maybe the last 2 weeks halotestin or something like that if they're a really advanced competitor. But usually I try to keep for kind of mostly just for digestion reasons. Yeah, I mean, I think there's different ways you can skin a cat for sure. But I want to jump back to the cardio thing just real quick. I had something I was wanting to explain about it. I'd like to have cardio in for heart health and for training endurance from, kind of just even in the off season. Like if I'm bulking or trying to add mass to a guy and he's just doing steps and stuff, I keep in, 20 minutes on the Stairmaster where their heart rate gets up to that 135, 140 range for 15, 20 minutes, because if you get too weak on your cardiovascular, your training is just going to be, your training capacity is going to be terrible. So I like to keep them at least moving, 4 days a week on cardio for that reason, just for the training aspect and then just for heart health in general. I mean, I know you don't really have much of an issue with that, Larry, but I think that it's, a big issue for some guys. Maybe you just have a different body type, but I think that I like having the cardio in also for digestive reasons, it kind of early in prep, and then I'll back it off toward the end to save a guy's legs. Maybe if they're like kind of ready early, then I can pull back on hitting them with the cardio and stuff. I mean, if they're not, then you got to do what you're saying. You got to have them at an hour a day, but then your recovery is just going to be such ass that I think that you're hurting yourself late in prep when you could have gotten their fat off early in prep. So that's just kind of like, you're getting to the same end. I don't know if one way is necessarily better than the other, but
I think it goes back to the body type. If you have a person that's like endomorph and they're naturally just a fat person,
yeah,
then you gotta put it in.
Yeah, it's down to body type. I mean, what you guys said about the guy that's already putting in a shitload of steps, obviously you don't want to add in double the more steps if they're already putting in 15,000. So I have a hard time with people that just count their steps as cardio, because I get a lot of clients that are in their like late 40s, early 50s, and I say like, hey, what kind of heart health are you doing? What kind of cardio? Like, oh, I walk around a lot at work, and I'm like, that's not really cardio. Your heart rate isn't getting up high enough for an extended period of time to be getting any heart health from that. I mean, we're trying to increase your longevity. Like if you don't get your heart rate up say you're training, you train for 60 seconds, you're doing a deadlift, or 45 seconds, you're doing a bench press set or whatever. And then you sit around for 10 minutes and then you do another set and sit around for 5 minutes. You're really not training your heart at all. I mean, like when are you training your heart health? When you're fucking, like, you got 7 minutes of fucking, like, and then you get gassed out because you aren't able to keep going on doing that, So I like to keep it for the endurance aspect of being able to just, be able to do stuff.
Right. I don't know. I find I get a lot of cardio from when I'm training with weights.
Yeah, but I mean, you train pretty fast, but I don't think your heart rate stays. I mean, sometimes I wear that Apple Watch that I have, and my heart rate, I'll do a squat set and I'll get up to like 140 or 150 on the hack squat, and then I'll sit down for 5 minutes, and then it goes back down to 95, and then I'll get up and I'll walk around, I'll do my next set and stuff like that. But I don't consider that like, I'm not really like pushing for that whole time. It does go up and down, but like, I can do that. I can stand up and do 10 jumping jacks. I can get up to 130, then I can sit down for 5 minutes. I can do 10 jumping jacks, get up to, not 10, but you know what I'm saying? I just don't really consider that. A lot of people think that, like, if they're moving, they don't need to do cardio. And if you're a framer, maybe, but if you're just a office guy and you're kind of walking to the printing machine 28 times an hour.
No, again, I don't ever ask people like how many steps you take. Yeah. I ask them like, what job do you have? What do you do during the day?
Yeah. I ask because a lot of people have those Apple Watches now. So I'll ask them like if they monitor how many steps they're getting, and then, because that's kind of a little more accurate. But yeah, like you said, I ask everyone what their job is. If they're a mail carrier, then I know that they're probably don't need to get much more cardio because they're walking the whole time. Right. So that definitely factors in.
Yeah, someone's a construction worker, like my guy works at the school, and he's like running with these kids, coaching all day from morning to night.
Yeah, he might get enough in. But like I said, I still don't think that's too much heart health, where you're actually like building up endurance. Because the reason I say this is, a couple years ago, I was trying to get huge. I was 270. I was training with that guy, Brian, and I got so big. I wasn't doing cardio because I was being a meathead, and I was like, oh, I need to save the calories. I got to grow. And so I was not doing any cardio. I was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and eating. And all that I was doing was training. And then I got to the point where I'd do a set of deadlifts. I do, 8 or 10 reps. I would be so gassed on deadlifts that I would think I was going to black out. And then, and then on my hack squat, I would start to like panic because I only get like 7 reps. But I'm doing like 7.5 plates. I'm doing a ton of load, but I just, I didn't have any capacity to like come back and do it right away and stuff. So, and then once I started adding in the cardio, I was able to do the same weight, but I was able to get 3, 4, 5 more reps. So I just think that like my training capacity got where I was doing 40% more reps on the same load just because I was able to do 20 minutes of cardio 4 days a week.
Yeah, honestly, I've never found. I mean, I can go pretty hard on sets, and I can just keep going.
Mm-hmm. You have pretty quick training. Whenever we train together, you're like hitting your next set pretty fast. But anyway, I don't know. My heart rate gets up, and then I can do another set within a minute. Did you text Leo? Yeah, I just texted him. I don't know what happened. So let's look through some of these comments, see if there's any questions. I saw a few questions come in.
Okay. Thinking about TRT or tests in general, what's the best clinic in NorCal? I couldn't answer you. Those HRT clinics, in my opinion, they charge you a shit ton of money. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you're going to get a prescription, just do like I do. I mean, I go to my regular doctor and he prescribed me an endocrinologist, and they just gave me a prescription for tests, and I get it out of CVS.
Yeah, lots of doctors don't really want to fuck with steroids, and I agree. TRT clinics, some of them charge way too much. Some of them are scams, and then some of them are decent. I know there's what's that guy's name? He's like a prep coach. Shit. Is it Theobald? Jason Theobald? He's got
There's
a
a whole
clinic.
bunch of them.
Yeah, he's got a clinic that, like, he's actually a legit dude, and he charges maybe like $200 or $250 a month, but you get blood labs every month with that. So it's kind of a little bit a lot for just TRT, but you're getting a fair amount of blood labs and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. There's so many of them out there.
I guess if you find one that's a good deal,
yeah,
then that's fine. But
maybe you just have to audition them and see. But
yeah.
Larry's right. If you have a cool doctor and you're able to talk to him about it and say, hey, I need TRT because I don't want to have to go to the black market to get some testosterone, that maybe they'll get you on, 200 milligrams a week or something.
I've had a script for testosterone for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And I just, I pick it up at CVS.
Let's see. Way up at the beginning, this guy, Amanda's divorce attorney. Do you guys take blood pressure meds while on cycle, like telmisartan? Most bodybuilders don't even know their blood pressure.
I answer that question is, if somebody has high blood pressure, then I would send them to a doctor to get that dealt with. Yes. I am not going to tell them, take my black market telmisartan.
I'm the opposite. If I have people just buy a blood pressure monitor. I mean, you can buy it for like a nice one.
No, I'm saying if they already have high blood pressure,
$70. If they got high blood pressure, then we address it through getting them on some cardio, changing out their foods, and kind of doing that. I mean, the doctor should be doing that, but I've never seen a doctor write a diet that's worth a fuck anyways. So, and then if I'm having guys on stuff that raises their blood pressure, then yeah, I'll put them on 30 or 40 milligrams of telmisartan. I mean, you can get pharmaceutical telmisartan all over. So yeah, I'll have them start there to suppress their blood pressure if it's crazy, because that's, in my opinion, the blood pressure is the biggest killer of bodybuilders. So
no, I'm not saying I won't recommend it. If someone has high blood pressure, that's, of course, I'm going to try to address it with their diet and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
If that all doesn't work, then I'm sending him to the doctor, because I don't want the responsibility if they die or go into kidney failure of saying that I put them on XYZ thing.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm not gonna put a client on any kind of drugs if they're running a 150 over 100 blood pressure. I'm not going to put them on any kind of drugs. I'm going to say, like, hey, these are your what do they call those?
Health markers.
No, these are your comorbidities. Your blood pressure's off the charts. You're pre-diabetic. You're these and that. I say, we're going to fix these things, and then we're going to maybe, if they come to me and they say, hey, my goal is to get jacked and shredded, and I'll take their biomarkers, their blood pressure and their bloods, and then if they're not healthy, then I'm going to say, like, I'm not going to put you on any kind of drugs that's going to increase your risks. So we'll kind of get that stuff down under control, and then talk about, maybe adding in some stuff in a safe manner. I'm more about longevity than anything. Like, I'm trying to make them last, be aesthetic and fuckable while they're getting into old age, and not just pushing muscle.
One of my guys, I know he needed a CPAP. I just knew this because, just talking about his sleep and, the size of him. And my doctor, who just my regular, not the specialty doc, but the GM.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty cool. And I've been dealing with him for, 15 years.
Yeah.
And I just told my guy he has good insurance. I'm like, go see Dr. Miller.
Mm-hmm.
and he made an appointment. He went down to Dr. Miller, told him I sent him. Dr. Miller set him up with a sleep test, and he got a CPAP.
Yeah.
You know,
I recommend it for a lot of guys. That's one spot where I, either get them on some mouth tape or get them on a CPAP or get them on a mouth guard or whatever. There's a lot of, CPAP's not the only method to fix apnea, but it is an effective one. So that's one of the things that I recommend too is sleep is like, man, that's probably almost the number one. If you're trying to get yourself in shape and you got sleep issues, you're just fucking trying to push a boulder up a hill.
I mean, I use doctors myself. I have my regular GM. I have an endocrinologist. I have a gastroenterologist and a cardiologist to address what different issues. And, I might debate with them on things that I disagree with them on, but I still talk to them about what we're doing, and they write my prescriptions and what I need. But I have a pretty good relationship with communicating with them. A lot of people can't seem to communicate with their doctors. But at a certain point, when it comes to like things that are life-threatening, possibly, they need to see a doctor. I'm not going to try to play doctor for them on certain things. Because there is liability. And, I can tell you right now, in this prep, my guy who wasn't losing weight, someone recommended a big diuretic protocol to me. And I discussed it with you, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That's how Muhammad bin Azizi died. A bunch of guys died from that.
No, you do not want to fuck with diuretics. They will kill you.
Well, I'll use
you can use them. You can use them, sparingly, but you do not want to do a big diuretic program.
No.
To get someone in shape.
I'll use a Diazide, the day before the show.
Yeah.
But I'm not running no Aldactone a week out.
Yeah.
And doing all this crazy shit, because, a bodybuilding contest is not worth dying about. And I'm not going to have anybody dying on my watch. That's the last thing I want is have someone dying because I put them on a bunch of fucking diuretics. But I was able to push the water off just by doing a big water load. I just had him just drinking a shit ton of water.
I mean, water is a natural diuretic. If your body will start increasing the aldosterone, and you'll start just pushing out, electrolytes and water, and that's what diuretics do.
Yeah, you just drink a lot of water. I just had him start increasing water, and it works. And he dropped a shit ton of weight just doing that, just pushing water. We started with a gallon, then I went a gallon and a quarter of a gallon, then a gallon and a half, then to 2 gallons, and now we're at like 2.5 gallons. And that's pushing the water out. From just doing that, he dropped like 7 pounds in 3 or 4 days. And it made a difference. I mean, you could see the difference. So there was a bit of water being held there, and we haven't touched a diuretic yet, just pushing water. And I didn't change electrolytes. I didn't cut salt or anything like that. But just by pushing the water, we were able to push a lot of water out. And I'll do that all the way up to the day before the show, and then we'll cut water back a little bit, and then we'll use a Diazide as needed, if we need it. And I say if we need it. If someone's dry and conditioned, I won't use it. But if I feel like they need a little bit more, maybe we'll use a Diazide or half a Diazide or something like that. But
right.
Any other questions?
We kind of talked about GLPs earlier a little bit, but this guy, Peter, what is your guys' opinion on the use of GLPs in bodybuilding off-season and contest prep? They're useful. They can help with your insulin sensitivity. They can help with curbing hunger. I like to use them. I'm starting to use them coming into a show, and then I keep them on out of a show, because a lot of guys will start to just eat and blow up. So, you reverse dieting out of the show is just as important, so that you kind of set yourself up. Larry told a story earlier about a client that just went off the rails and gained 50 pounds after a show. And, I think GLPs can be useful in, forcing someone not to do that. So I think that they have their utility for sure. We're still early. What's that?
I think the retatrutide is better than the other ones from what I've seen so far.
Yep.
I've had some people try Ozempic and they had, digestive problems from it.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, I haven't had a lot of experience with retatrutide, but so far, from what I've seen, people seem to tolerate it pretty well.
Yeah, Reta, I don't think it's even out on the market yet. I think Pfizer developed it, but right now we're just getting the retatrutide that is like research. I don't think that's a prescription yet, but yeah, the retatrutide seems to be 3 GLP-1, GLP-2, and glucagon peptides. So it's kind of just like the evolution of GLPs. Tirzepatide is just GLP-1 and GLP-2, and then Ozempic is just GLP-1.
So it's like guy said, it's hard to puke on Reta. I don't know why would you want to puke unless you're bulimic?
Just can't eat due to bloating. Yeah, I mean, if you take too much, I've heard of that.
Yeah, I just talked about that. The SLUPP. I'm using that right now myself and with a client, but it's pretty new. We've only been using it for a couple weeks, but so far I feel like it's helping my recovery. And
what people are talking about this Victor Richards story. Can you let's close with the Victor Richards story. Does that sound good? People have been asking for like 2 weeks straight about this.
Okay, so anyways, I was talking about this on After Hours. So we were at the gym training at World Gym, and I was finished training and I wanted to leave, and he needed a ride back, and I told him, we got to go, and he said we got to go to Gold's Gym. For what reason, I don't know. So we go to Gold's Gym, and he walks around in there for a few minutes, and I'm like, Victor, I got to go. And he's like, we have to go to Venice Beach. Like, why do we have to go to Venice Beach? Oh, we have to go there. So we go to the Venice Beach, and he's like walking around the boardwalk with his shirt off. And anyways, I'm like, dude, I have to get back to the valley. I don't have time to mess around with this. I got to go. And he goes, well, I'm not ready to go yet. I'm like, well, I'm leaving. So either you can come with me now or you can take a bus. He said, you know how many buses I have to take? I have to take 5 buses. And I'm like, well, I don't know. That's your problem. He goes, that's it. I kick your ass now. So then he starts chasing me around the parking lot. This big 320-pound guy chasing me around the parking lot, but he can't run. So he finally gets tired. I'm like, look, dude, look, I'll drive you back or not, but I'm leaving. So he says, okay. So he gets in the car. I drive him he wanted me to drop him off at Universal City at the Sheraton there. I don't know what he was going there for, but I dropped him off there. And before he gets out of the car, he says, the next time I see you, I kick your ass. I'm like, okay, whatever. Right. So anyways, I'm talking to my training partners. We're pretty big guys. And I'm like, so Victor said he's going to kick my ass in the gym when he sees me. And we're talking about what do we do? We'll hit him over the head with weights or something like that. Anyways, I'm training by myself one day at Nautilus Plus in Studio City. And this gym is like down in a basement. It's like you go down a stairway into like this basement. And that's where all the weights are. And upstairs is the cardio. So I'm all the way back in the very corner on like some machine. I don't know if it was a pullover or whatever I was on. And Victor comes down the stairs, all huge. And he yells across the gym to me. He says, Larry, I'm very mad at you. And the whole gym stops and looks. And I look up and I'm like, why are you mad at me, Victor? He goes, I'm very, very mad at you. I'm like, okay, why are you mad? I'm very mad. I'm like, and I'm on trend at this point. I'm like, look, either you do something or get the fuck out of my face. I don't have time for this shit. And he just looks at me, goes, I'm very mad. And he turns around, and he runs back up the stairs.
That's it. And then he just left.
Yeah, he just left. So all this, he's going to kick my ass. He doesn't do shit. I finally was fed up with it. I'm like, okay, just do something or not, because he's got me cornered there. I can't leave.
Yeah.
But that was the end of the story. So there wasn't a whole lot to tell.
That's the Victor Richards story.
Yep.
You want to wrap it?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I don't know what happened to Leo. I think he got disconnected somehow.
Yeah.
But anyways,
We'll catch him on the next one.
To like, subscribe, leave your comments, and if you have any suggestions for next week, actually, I will be at the USA's next week, so I think I can still probably do a podcast from there.
Yeah, probably.
But I'm leaving on Wednesday to go to USA's. But yeah, I'll be able to do something from there. So I think that's a wrap.
All right. And then people keep complaining about us in the comments. Guys, I'm back on the podcast. This is what I'm doing. If you don't like it, listen to a different podcast. So some people like it, some people don't, that I'm back. But me and Larry, nothing happened wrong. We're still buddies. So I'm here. So it's going to be a 3-way. Maybe we'll get Austin Carr on here once in a while with us too. So
Yeah,
if you guys need to get a hold of me, Instagram, Luke the Hulk, shoot a DM or whatever. But that's pretty much it.
Your information is in the description as well.
All right. I'm on the description.
All right. That's a wrap.
Later, guys.
I believe that the fires were cast upon, on the flames we shall become. I believe in a common calling.